Welcome to Tecmo Tuesday, and welcome to the finale of the season, the 5th season of Tecmo Tuesday. It's the Super Bowl. It's the 1970 season Super Bowl. It's not at all what the 77 season Super Bowl was. Actually, it's pretty close. Actually, it's... now that I think about it, you got the Cowboys who did make it to the Super Bowl and the Raiders who did not, but they came in second basically to the in the AFC. They lost to the Broncos in the title game. So it's pretty close to the Super Bowl, even though the Broncos were not even in the playoffs. It was close in that regard. Anyway, I will not be playing the game because I was the Buccaneers throughout, and we'll just be watching. And Clarence Davis is returning for the Raiders. That is good news for the Silver and Black. Two very storied franchises. They both have 3 Super Bowls. No, they both have... the Cowboys have 5. The Raiders have 3. 8 Super Bowls between the two of them. Raiders get the ball first. So even though, so just like just to throw it out there. So yeah, this is the last episode of the season. I'll be doing the Pro Bowl right after the game. You know, commentating over it, watching it, just for the hell of it. And then that'll be it. I'll take a break from Tecmo Tuesday for a little while, several weeks at least, probably a couple of months. I'm just gonna take a breather from it, cleanse the palate, work on other projects, kind of give it an off season, you know. I don't want the seasons to bleed into each other too much and just go right into the next one. So I'll take several weeks off, maybe even a few months, like a little bit more than normal. Partly because, like I said, I want to focus on other projects. That Dragon Warrior video really took a while to put together, and I want to be able to make big videos like that more often. And while I'm not working on one for a little while, at least, I feel like I have to get really far ahead of the game. I have to have, you know, I like, for example, like for just that Dragon Warrior video, I had, not counting the weekday shows like the Tecmos and the Mega Man Maker Mondays, just the Sunday reviews, walkthroughs, and all that. The Sunday videos, I was 3 months ahead of schedule by the time I started Dragon Warrior. I started Dragon Warrior 3 months before its release. So I had to, you know, spend a lot of time video capturing and then writing and then recording the audio, editing the audio, and then editing the video in its entirety. I purposefully gave myself like a 3-month leeway, extra time, so that was the only video I was working on, aside from the weekday stuff, which is, you know, they're just that doesn't require a lot of production. It's, you know, the time spent playing the games. But even still, you know, those take up some time too. So having Tecmo Tuesdays, having some time off of Tecmo for a bit will help just alleviate some of that pressure. I can record, I could just have Mondays and Thursdays be the full-time shows for a little while, and then sprinkle in a Failure Friday or a Wild Card Wednesday every once in a while before I get back to Tecmo. And during that process, I'll be able to catch up more on the Sundays stuff and, you know, give myself some breathing room to potentially do more of those longer videos. So while I was rambling on there for a whole quarter of the Super Bowl, the Raiders are up 7-0, and they got the ball back. I'm personally, of course, for, you know, those who didn't notice, I'm pulling for the Raiders in this game because I am a Raiders fan. And I am not at all a Cowboys fan. They're my least favorite team of the NFC. As far as the AFC goes, it would be Patriots at the very top of that enemy list, with the Chiefs just shortly below them. Meanwhile, we've got ourselves a touchdown for the Raiders. They're going up 14-0 here, it looks like. And they are. So that's a great first quarter for Oakland. Not a great kickoff ensuing that touchdown. Because now the Cowboys will start off in Raider territory. Draw to Newhouse gets up, gets 5 on the carry. Go to the gun again. See, you gotta have, if you're gonna have deceptive plays like the draw and the fake reverse, and that's gonna be a touchdown because Pearson caught it and on the 1 and takes it into the end zone. Cuts the Raider lead down to probably 7, pending the extra point. If you're gonna have plays like that in Tecmo, where you have 8 plays to choose from, and you're gonna have shotgun draws, you better have a shotgun pass. Otherwise, nobody's gonna believe that it's happening. And in a lot of Tecmo tournaments, like these things happen. For anybody that doesn't know, there are Tecmo Super Bowl live tournaments, probably online tournaments too. But I know of. It's a pick by the Cowboys. They're going to get right back down to business here. We're only a minute and a half into the second quarter, and they've scored a touchdown and now are within striking distance. Anyway, on the Tecmo tournaments, you can customize your playbook to how you see fit with whatever team you have. And they always try to have at least 2 plays, if not more, with any given formation. There will not be a single play where there's a giveaway based on how they line up, what the play is going to be, because these guys will know what is coming. They're all really, really good. Meanwhile, the Cowboys tied the game just now. Well, they will tie the game with this extra point. Touchdown cuts the lead down, and just like that, 14 unanswered points for Dallas. This looks like it's going to be a wild game here. So here we go, last 2 minutes or so of the first half. Almost threw another pick. See those short passes? I don't get why the computer does this shit. They throw these short passes either out in the flat or like that one, just like out in the middle of the field. Barely any yards that you're really going to get out of it. The guy is going to be wrapped up as soon as he catches it, if he manages to catch it, and will not pick up any yardage. And you run the risk of the interception. It's high risk, low reward. I never throw short passes like that when the receivers are covered. If I ever do, it's because the coverage catches up to him and I didn't see it. Wow, that was a diving catch in between defenders and barely in between. I mean, that guy was blanketed. That was a hell of a fucking catch right there, and gotta credit Stabler too for threading the needle. That was a nice block. And look at that, this again, for the second time, added a touchdown. 2 Raider blockers came in and shed the defenders off of Van Egan, who takes it in for the score. That was some great teamwork right there. That's the kind of shit that you don't see a lot in these CPU matches, where the drones will come in. Once a guy's tied up, I mean, they don't generally popcorn the guys. That's a term. That's a Tecmo term for when the player bounces off of the guy with the ball. Whoever's carrying the ball, if they can knock somebody on their ass like that, they call it popcorning. And you don't really, you generally you'll do it from tapping when guys get you tied up. But usually the CPU drones, they'll just be locked up and then they go down, unless a fellow blocker comes running in and knocks the guy on his ass. Anyway, it's Mighty Bomb Jack showtime. Maybe I'll get around to doing a Bomb Jack walkthrough video someday. I imagine I will. wonder what this is like. Is this some kind of illusion, like how they were able to triple in size based on 3 of them getting together like that? Or do they get into a balloon? Like, I don't know what that is projected to, you know, what that's supposed to represent. Anyway, we got a second half of football to be played. And Cowboys have to, they needed to get the ball back because the Raiders just scored. They didn't want to have one of those double dips. And there's another one of those examples of the blockers coming in to help out. So this is like all hands on deck. These guys are all putting in 150% because they know this is it. Like this is the end of their season. Leave everything on the field because you don't have to save yourself for any more games after this. I mean, yeah, this is the fucking Pro Bowl, but I mean, even back then when players would, you'd never see anybody in the Super Bowl back out of the Pro Bowl. Even Jack Youngblood for the Rams. I think it was 79. He broke a leg, the leg bone. He taped it up and played in the 3 playoff games, including the Super Bowl, and then he went out and played in the goddamn Pro Bowl too. Nowadays, players say, "Oh, you know, I don't feel like playing, so I'm not going to show up for the Pro Bowl. Like, I just don't want to do it." These guys back then played injured, with broken fucking bones. It was just a different era, different levels of toughness. They made less money, so it was a bigger deal, you know, to get that extra payday. Wasn't like it was, you know, the contracts were different, too. I'm pretty sure they, you know, it was like you got paid. The playoff bonuses were not like, you know, the entirety of their. I don't know. I'm going way off of the deep end here. We got a touchdown for the Raiders, 28-14. Looks like it's going to end up being with this extra point. You know, as a side note, and I know that I'm being extremely biased here, but I'll say that this is the Super Bowl it should have been. Because there was an extremely controversial fumble in the AFC Championship game. You know, I never watched that game from front to back. But I've seen plenty of highlights, and I think it's enough to say that, you know, the Raiders would have at least definitely had a pretty good chance to win if that fumble was called. The Broncos, long story short, fumbled the ball, and the Raiders recovered, but they ruled them down, and this was before instant replay, and the Raiders got fucked. Who would have thought that the Raiders would get fucked on a fumble that should have been in a playoff game against the team that went on to the Super Bowl? It's unheard of. It's uncanny. Extra point's good, and the Cowboys cut it to 7. Also, it would have just been like another. It would have made the Ghost to the Post story a little bit more. That game would have been even more historic because, you know, the Raiders would have been a Super Bowl team that year. So 77 was the year of the Ghost to the Post, where Stabler threw a ridiculous pass to Casper. Or was it? It was more of a ridiculous catch than a ridiculous pass. The pass actually didn't go where it was supposed to. It's funny how Stabler has the Sea of Hands and the Ghost to the Post, 2 of his most famous passes, you know, were ill-advised. Or at least one of them was thrown in the wrong direction. It wasn't like it was in Sea of Hands should have been picked, or it very well could have been. Ill-advised pass. Whereas Ghost to the Post was like, it really should have been an incompletion. Because he threw it on the opposite side of Casper than he should have. But Casper adjusted and ended up making the crazy catch. And then the Raiders would go on to win in double overtime. Meanwhile, Cliff Branch has a touchdown here to make it 34-21 pending the extra point. But, you know, despite, you know, my bias and, you know, my... Even though I wasn't watching at the time, but it's still been nice for the Raiders to get a 4th Super Bowl during that era. And it would have been 2 back-to-back. Cowboys did, Cowboys of this era definitely deserved a ring. Because they had it really tough with the Steelers. I mean, just ask the Raiders how tough the Steelers were during this time period. Cowboys lost 2 Super Bowls to the Steelers in the 70s, and including the one that took place the year after this, in 78. You know, one of the best Super Bowls ever. You know, so they just came up short in those games against Pittsburgh. So they deserve to get one against Denver in this year. They did deserve a Super Bowl. Excuse me. They still have a chance in this game too. They're running out of time, but you know, here it is, a touchdown. There's still enough time. Even if they don't recover the onside kick. They just have to not give up. They can't give up any first downs. They can't give up a field goal. They got to get the ball back as quick as they can. Oh, but Stabler, who, you know, on the hands team, catches the ball in air and gets the Raiders the starting field position. They're going to throw to start off. Everybody's more or less covered. And that was dangerous as fuck. Could have been picked. Clarence Davis picks up 4, and this is a very important 3rd down here. If the Raiders cannot pick up this first down, and Van Eaton gets the ball, he's going to get taken down by the 4-yard shy. They're going to try a long field goal. If they miss this, Dallas will get really good field position. I mean, they'll be at the 39 because this is from the spot of the... and they miss it. So the Cowboys get the ball. They get it where the line of scrimmage was, not where the kick was. It was different. So the 39-yard line, still good field position, but with a minute and a half, there's plenty of time for them to get a touchdown. And if they launch it, which they do, to Pearson, he makes the catch, diving catch at the 20. Gets taken down at the 14, so they have, with a minute left, down 7. They have plenty of, obviously, definitely plenty of time. And makes the catch, and there's the score. We are tied. Well, you know, but as long as you get the extra point. Golden Richards with the score, and being down by 14 twice, the Cowboys march back and tie it. Unless they get a crazy block right here. Which they don't. So, not necessarily overtime quite yet. But the Cowboys should have booted that one a lot further than they did. Because now, with like 1 or maybe 2 plays, the Raiders could get into field goal range. You didn't want to give them field position that good. But Stabler runs to a brick wall. He throws. It's caught by Blitnikoff. And they gets tackled at the 11. They're going to have time for the field goal. Wow, that was some shit. That was like what you saw from this day and age with fucking, what's his name? And they just about sneak it in. Thinking of the Mahomes game where the Chiefs scored with, you know, with 13 seconds left. They went across the fucking field. So huge fuck up there by the Cowboys with a short kickoff. Gave the Raiders a play. And I thought we were going into overtime, but we didn't. Raiders win 38-35. They take the Super Bowl. You know, a very evenly matched game. The Raiders definitely had the better ground attack. The Cowboys only got 30 yards rushing. They gave up on the run after running it for only 8 yards, but they were playing from behind for most of the game. Got to give them a lot of credit for their comeback. They showed a lot of grit and guts. And it really felt like, you know, like after they got that game-tying touchdown, the momentum was on their side and all the pressure was on the Raiders, even though they got the ball at the end of regulation. You know, it was looking more and more like it was going to be an overtime game. So in all likelihood, it was going to be, you know, they were going to go into overtime with all the momentum on the Cowboys side. And then there's all that, you know, question of whether or not it would be in the Raiders would have it in their head that, oh shit, we had this game and now we have to go back and get it again. But it's not to be. And the Raiders, after in the Tecmo verse, I guess, our Tecmo verse, this is the third Super Bowl appearance for the Raiders out of the 5 seasons that we've done, including these last 2. It's the second one in a row. But they hadn't won one yet. They lost to the Giants in the regular 91 season that I did as the Colts. They made it last year when the Bucs, which we represented the Bucs, went in and won. And now this year, they pull it off after almost letting it slip out of their grasp toward the end. They pulled it off, so they've definitely been the most out of all the AFC teams. They've been in the big game the most. They've been they made their presence felt the most. But they hadn't won the big one, and now they did. Speaking of, you know, the Tecmo verse, I did mention, you know, yeah, I'd be taking a break for a couple months, but I didn't say what I would be doing for the next season, because, you know, I won the Super Bowl my first year as Tampa, and then I lost, you know, in the divisional round this year, first playoff round. For first round of the playoffs, as far as, you know, my games were concerned, there was the wild card round, but I had a bye. All right, let's just get a Pro Bowl going here while I continue this bullshit. So anyway, my plan is to go back and do one more season with the Bucs in the '78 season. I didn't look to confirm that I had a '78 ROM, but I'm pretty sure I do. I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the Colts, you know, a trilogy, and I do feel like, despite the fact that I had a, you know, I won the Super Bowl the first year, I do still feel like there's some redemption to be had as the Buccaneers, you know, for just like the way that this last season ended. So, you know, Super Bowl win, then go back, try again. And to repeat. Didn't work out. Let's see what we can do in year 3. And also, '78 was it will be the last year I play as the Bucs, for sure. Just because, you know, that'd be too much. 3 is enough. And also, '79 was the first year that the Bucs were good. They went from just a complete laughingstock the first 2 years, in '76 and '77, to, you know, starting to get their ground. They were competitive in games. They looked like a regular football team, if not an underwhelming one. But then '79, they came out of nowhere. It was, you know, all that hard work paid off in trying to build the team from scratch. Got to give McKay a lot of credit for how quickly that team became a contender in an era when you really could not put together a contender quickly. It should have taken them a lot longer, because they had nothing but scrubs. It was not like the draft, you know, the way the sports do these days with the what is it, the expansion drafts that they have, where you have to leave X amount of players unprotected for whoever's in the expansion draft to be able to pick who they want off of those unprotected lists. Back then, it was just the only thing you could do was sign free agents and who were just like leftovers. And And the draft. You can't build even a decent team with all those limitations. So, after only a few years putting together a competitive team, a team that made it all the way to the NFC Championship, you know, that's pretty good. Oh, wow. Franco Harris just ran through everybody. I mean, the defenders took some bad whiffs on that one. But, still, he flew by him. So the AFC gets on the board here. It's their first score of the game. And they go up 7-3. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to take a break from Tecmo Tuesday after this. It'll, you know, it'll cleanse the palate. It'll make it more, it'll freshen things up when we come back from Tecmo later on down the road. Much in the way a regular off-season does in any real sport. You know, it's, you step away from it for a little while, and then it feels a lot better when you get back into it, as opposed to just kind of being desensitized by non-stop binging through Tecmo. NFC will be punting here. I think I don't know, it was the first 2 years or so. I want to say it was the first 2 seasons I did of Tecmo Tuesday where I actually formulated the Pro Bowl based on the performances of the players during the season that I played, as opposed to the Pro Bowls that were put together in the game. And I think for some of the ROMs, early on, I think for the 92 one, they were, I can't confirm, but I want to say that it was just the same roster that was already in place in the game. Like, in other words, whoever made the ROM didn't alter the Pro Bowl roster to reflect who actually made the Pro Bowl in that real NFL season. It was just whoever was the, you know, like Jim Kelly or QB Bills in Tecmo Super Bowl. He was on the Pro Bowl list by default in Tecmo Super Bowl, so I think because he was in that slot, he was in the same slot for the Pro Bowl, and whoever was the other quarterback, I think Marino was quarterback, second quarterback. Well, that'd be Marino again, but you know what I'm saying. Everybody who was in that particular position for their team was listed in the Pro Bowl, so it was like I felt obligated to go in and edit the damn thing anyway. There's a nice block by the defender, but these other ROMs have been edited. Like, so, for example, I almost called him Brian Greasy. Yeah, right. Bob Greasy. He's the quarterback for the AFC team. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, wait a minute. I know Marino was Marino the backup? Was it Kelly and Marino, or was it Marino and Elway? No, it was based on 90. For sure it was Kelly and Marino. But yeah, Franco. Yeah, this Pro Bowl roster is indeed edited. I'm about 85% sure, but I'm starting to wonder. Oh, there's Youngblood right there. I was talking about him earlier for the NFC. Yeah, Peyton, that makes sense to have him back there. Yeah, alright, so yeah, Staubach's the quarterback for the NFC. So yeah, this is not. Aikman was not the Pro Bowl quarterback in the regular Tecmo. Okay, so that confirmed my initial feeling that they had indeed changed the Pro Bowls in this Pro Bowl roster in this game to reflect their actual Pro Bowl. I don't remember off the top of my head who actually did make the Pro Bowl, but they probably got what they could. Oh yeah, and Stabler was the backup for the AFC in this game. I did look remember to look at that, and I know that it wasn't Schrader, the quarterback for the Raiders in Tecmo, who was the second QB. So yeah. Anyway, only reason why I was going into detail about that was because I used to, like I said, edit the Pro Bowl roster, but, last few years I was just like, you know what, they've already made those adjustments. It may not reflect the season that I played, because, I might have had reason, that there are probably Buccaneers that would deserve Pro Bowl recognition, but they definitely didn't get it in the real NFL season. They would have made the Pro Bowl roster at the... But this game is so insignificant. This is just a kind of like an epilogue, a little bit of a debriefing. That's more or less why I'm even playing this game or simulating it. And there's a pick off there for Haynes. Part of the dynamic duo that the Raiders had as of defensive backs. It's a nice leaping catch. 14-13, it's a close game. Now they're matriculating the ball down the field. So another reason for the, I mentioned several reasons for my, extended break from Tecmo. The other thing, too, is I think I mentioned it in comments before, too, when just answering questions about, what I think of how, just my take on anything that's going on in the real NFL, anything that's NFL related. You may have noticed or heard or read that I am just plain disenchanted with the NFL right now, with a lot of it having to do with my team, and it's just their sheer unlikability. I'm just more or less disgusted with the state of them, particularly ownership and the coaching staff. Just made some terrible decisions. The first one was hiring Josh McDaniels. But I don't want to get into that. There are other factors too. There are other parts of the NFL that are just leaving a sour taste in my mouth. Outside of my team, the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, the drama of the Aaron Rodgers trade just being as annoying as fuck. So I've just been trying to distance myself and stay disconnected from it all. And yeah, I don't let that bleed into Tecmo. I don't think of it as the same entity at all. But at the same time, I feel like taking a longer break than I normally would from the Tecmo Super Bowl just because of that. And I don't want to make myself get sick of football in the video game format as well. So it's kind of a precautionary tactic. Oh, what a catch by Branch. That's going to give them a 2-score lead if they kick the extra point successfully. The NFC is going to have their work cut out for them here. They have 1 quarter left to score twice. And we shouldn't... There's no reason to think that we'll see overtime. Because I think that's something that should be outlawed from the Pro Bowl. I mean, the Pro Bowl as it is now is not... You know, you don't have to worry about that. It's a whole different kind of a game, but... You know, preseason, Pro Bowl, there's no reason to have... You know, extend overtime to try to win that game. It's meaningless. It's bullshit. As far as this game goes, though, there's plenty of time right now, but if the NFC were to... they take a while to get down there. They might want to think about just kicking a field goal, but there's too much time. You know what? They might not even kick a field goal at all. If they get to fourth down, they might just fucking go for it, because the Tecmo AI, not the most brilliant. They don't... It thinks... It knows it's down 2 scores, or it's more than a few... I mean, it's not going to matter. They're going to score a touchdown here. Oh, maybe not. Oh, they're going to not even have the ball. Never mind. They fumbled it away, so there it goes. Lyle Zato, the former... well, he was a Bronco at this time. You know, he was on that Bronco team that went to the Super Bowl prior to going to their rivals, the Raiders, later on. He gets himself a fumble recovery here. A little check down pass. So the AFC looks like they're going to have this one wrapped up, barring some kind of a miracle of, you know, it'd have to be a fumble or some shit, a pick, to turn things around that much. And there you have it. There is a pick. Now, here's an example right here. This is what I mean. Maybe you think about just kick the field goal now, so that way you have time to recover the onside kick. I was waiting for another fumble, right? You know, inside the 5. Oh, look at that. They faked me out with that one. So, this is going to take them to down 1 point. I mean, yeah, 1 score. So yeah, never mind that whole thing about kicking a field goal early. You do that shit if, like, you know, you run under a minute, but they did score quick enough. But Franco Harris just caught the ball in midair, and, you know, unless they commit another turnover, the AFC should have this game. NFC's going to use up their timeouts. Why would you do that? Now exactly, you gave the ball away. Now they have a chance. Now the AI doesn't think about this shit. But boy, has AI come a long way recently, huh? There's a sack, which should bring us down to 1 more play. NFC didn't look like they had too much in the way of deep passes. And they try to play fake like they were going to buy that run. Well, that's it. The Pro Bowl is in the books. Whatever. Harold Jackson had 3 catches for 104 yards. He was, you know, in the losing effort, he, you know, really hit the stat sheet pretty hard. It was otherwise a, you know, a modest game. Greasy had 2 picks, one of them at the end of the game that really could have cost him. Whatever, it's the end of the season, and now everybody gets to go home and play some golf. So, speaking of going home, that will do it for Season 5 of Tecmo Tuesday. That's it for the 77 season. Like I said, I'll return for 78. I'll give one more crack at it with the Bucks, see if I can win 2 Super Bowls out of the 3 seasons. And then we'll put that, you know, arc to rest. And then we'll see what the future holds after that. But other than that, that is it. Thanks for watching this video if you even bothered to watch either of these games. Thanks for watching. And thanks for watching the season if you've been watching and keeping up. I appreciate it. And I will see you next time.